You are watching the Pan-African Daily TV with Dr. Susan Tatah. The Africa we want: unity, consciousness, our culture, our spirituality, our history. One Africa for Africans worldwide. Motherlands calling its diaspora home. Join my voice. Join my team. Join my campaign. Campaign 21 hashtag 1 million subscribers on the Pan-African Daily TV YouTube. Be a volunteer. Apply now. Be the new Africa. Okay. Welcome everybody. Welcome everyone watching us all across the world where you are joining us today. Today is a special edition. Like you remember on last Tuesday, this show was rescheduled for this Tuesday because of internet, because of interruptions. And today we are live back on the Pan-African Daily TV live studio with Dr. Susan Tatah. And we're still going to carry on that conversation because this conversation is a very key conversation in Pan-Africanism. And right now we see Africa is evolving so fast than we ever thought or than we ever believed it is going to be. So this topic, xenophobia, it's a cankerworm that we have to cleanse up in the minds and in the hearts of every African country that is listening to us right now. So we have guests in our studio, and the first person I'll be interviewing or we'll be having this conversation is Honorable Abubakar. This is the youth program. This is the Africa we want by youth of Africa on the continent and in the diaspora. I'm just still sitting in this project now because the youth are still putting on a whole big profile with their host and their timetables and schedules. So I'm just helping. I don't even think next Tuesday I'm going to be a host on this program, The Africa We Want by the Youth of Africa, right? I'm just helping because they're still trying to put their structure together. So I have my own show, you know that, all right? Conversations with high profile guests, or let's say the elders and the communities with Dr. Susan Tatah. And I have a whole list of guests that have been waiting for more than 6 months, and I'm also going to relaunch my own series on Pan-African Daily TV. So I'm calling on all the youths that are joining, that are watching me from the continent or in the diaspora. Please join the youth of the Africa We Want movement and be a host on Pan-African Daily TV. We're looking forward for you. If we continue to do these things for you, you will never learn how to swim by yourself. So today is my last day of hosting the youth of Africa, the Africa we want. So I'll not be a host anymore. I have my own programs that are coming on weekends on Pan-African Daily. And so you have to learn, the youth of Africa, you have to learn to do your own things. You have to learn to take the responsibility. You have to learn by doing. Okay, so I'm looking forward for that. I just want to bring in our guest, Honorable Abubakar, who is joining us, Makalo, from the Gambia, the smiling coast of Africa. Abubakar, we're going to be sharing a conversation with this young champion, this legend of Africa, about the role model of Gambia as a non-xenophobic country. It means Gambia is open to every citizen. You have seen, whether you're an African from North, East, Center, everybody is welcome in the Gambia. In the Gambia, we call them the smiling coast because you go at their beaches, you literally cannot just be it without smiling. And this smile comes from their heart. It is contaminating because that's the vibe, that's the original spirit of Africa. Before Africa was what it is today, the Africa that was before it is today is what we're talking about on Pan African Daily TV. So I want to welcome you, Honorable. How are you doing?
Thank you so much, Doctor. I'm fine, Alhamdulillah.
Wonderful.
Uh,
I to you. We were just celebrating, we just came out from the Feast of the Muslims. I think that was last week. And I want to salute all our Muslim brothers and sisters that are watching us all over, everybody. Pan African Daily means for everybody because the origin of Africa, we didn't know whether this one was Christian, this one was Muslim, or this one. We believe in the system of brotherly and sisterlyhood, the system of Ubuntu. So nothing separates us and puts us into category. We are one Africa by the Africans, and so is the Gambia, isn't it?
yes.
Yeah,
True.
wonderful. So it's nice to have you on the show today. You've been seeing the happenings on the continent of Africa, concerning this new virus. I call it a new virus. Each time there's a virus and people are infected, but the new virus is the virus of xenophobia. When nations not it oh, it started in South Africa like every other virus that will start there because we understand that even the indigenous, we're already contaminated before we start thinking, oh, this is my land, this is not my land, and stuff like that. And but you are saying the model that the Gambia has is a unique model, and we have to stick to it. So over to you. Let us know.
Yes. Greetings, everyone. I am Honorable Abubakar Makalo, the National Youth Parliamentarian for the Gambia, and then a youth leader, and a young Pan-Africanist who has been championing Africa borderless, who have been championing the unification of Africa, both in descent and diaspora. Uh, Greetings to you all today. We have a very important topic, which is xenophobia is not an Africans. We have to look at that from the history of Africa, which was built with Ubuntu, the idea of Ubuntu. I am because we are, we promote the unities among ourselves, we promote the brotherhood of Africa and the sisterhoods of Africa. So looking at the Gambia here is called a smiling coast, not just is a word of a by smiling coast, but a reason is why we call it smiling coast, because Gambia is a country that welcomes every Africans in everywhere, in wherever you are, in Eastern Africa, Western Africa, and in everywhere you are, from Europe, from America, from everywhere, we are all welcome to Gambia, because it's a country which promotes unity, and not by mouth, but by the efforts of most of our leaders. Understand? Gambia have been a country which normally hosts, especially when it comes to refugees, like when the war in Africa. And so we can look at the history of Liberia. When there was a war in Liberia, our presidents Jambe have welcomed so many refugees that settled in Gambia. So we talk about the Ghana also, like Ghanaian also during the colonial era and all those things. We have welcomed so many citizens from Ghana. So in Gambia, there is a town called Ghana Town, because we welcome every African citizens across the continents. So Gambia is a country that we know that we don't promote xenophobia. Understand it? We don't discuss about it. We don't know what is xenophobia. We all know unity. Our leaders always champion Africa borderless, and which that I'm doing currently. Understand?
Mm.
So Africa, I always said we have to see each other as a brothers, as a sisters, because we cannot be fake, or we cannot be misled by artificial boundary. understand, because Africa was built with a strength of a pan-Africanism, understand. We can remember when Ghana came their independent, Kwame Nkrumah stood and said it. Ghana's independent, it is meaningless unless it is linked to the old continents of Africa. This shows that we are all one. Africa is one. Africa have been together. Africa have been one, because during those days, our ancestors they never know that like borders or xenophobia. They never know borders, because they can travel freely at any country that they feel like, with hospitality with other African country. Understand? We can talk about during the apartheid war, some of our leaders that traveled to South Africa, and others conflict that you can see. African leaders will travel freely, move free to other countries to make so to stabilize peace in those countries. Now, if we are champion, or if we are promoting a xenophobia in Africa, that is not that our ancestors will not be sleep well, and they will not be comfortable in their grave land. So xenophobia is not for Africa.
Thank you very much. I mean, you made a very pertinent point to say, these are not the values of our forefathers and our foremothers. These are not the values that we inherited. So something happened to us. Nothing is wrong with us, because from the origin we were united. And now you see, so when did we became what we are now, and which is the virus that we are struggling to actually disinfect our system and our cultures from it?
Yes, like I will say, like I think we have to rewrite our history, African history, because our history is we thought our children with the Eurocentricalist history. If they have this kind of mindset, like during the scrabble of African Berlin conference, where Africa was see amongst the European, understand. So these are some of the things that our students we learned in schools, and then they how those the history was drive on, and then how they segments us, our African brothers and sisters. So our children learn this, they have this kind of mind. So for xenophobia to be champion, it is our own people that are doing that, but we need to rewrite our history, and then we need to change our curriculum. If our curriculum is not changed, xenophobia to leave Africa is not going to be easy. So curriculum have to be changed. Our children must learn Afrocentric, the African cultures, so that they can grow with this, and then throw away this kind of mindset, the Africa with borders and all those. We don't need borders in Africa. We need one currency in Africa. We need one president in Africa. We don't need that. Africa with so many currencies, that is segmenting is segmenting us, and people have those mindset, xenophobia and all those things, because of the educational system. So it have to be changed. It have to start from our education system. If this is not changed, xenophobia to leave Africa is not going to be easy.
Wonderful. Thank you. The next question, I mean, you talked about the borderless Africa, the origin of Africa without a segregative curriculum, a curriculum that doesn't even teach about the history of Africa until we start knowing about the Berlin Conference, how Africa was partitioned. So before it was partitioned, it was a one country or one continent, as we know, one culture, one people, diversity with everything. That's why you go, whether it's in every African country, it's the same people, it's the same music, it's the same, even the languages are broken up into this. Now, let's talk about the leadership. Don't you think the leadership also, like you, the young people that are coming up, you have to, what kind of leadership model would you want to see? Of course, you've talked about the curriculum, because that's the basic, of changing the system, restructuring the knowledge, telling our own story through our own things. So what about the leadership?
Yes, when you talk about leadership, the changes of a leadership is very, very important. But we also have to go back to the curriculum again, because if we don't redesign our curriculums to have a good leader in Africa, is going to be very difficult. Because as you can see, some of our leaders rely on foreign aid, understand? Others rely on a debt, right? That they take a loan from other, others, in a country, European country like EU and others, organizations, understand? Now, I think the young peoples have to be they have to be an advocates of changing a leadership style of Africa, not just by mouth, but I go to the government to make sure to change the curriculum, which the African, we think our own history. Understand? In African schools, we can know, because this guy I call Marcus Garvey once said, like a person without the history of their own origin is just like a tree without a roots. Understand? All these things, it have to start our root. Now in this, we are going to produce a good leaders that we thinks pan-Africanism. Understand? As we say, like we have the 2063 agenda, the Africa we want to understand. But as we can see now, as I'm talking here, this agenda is failing because most of our leaders are not observing this agenda as one of the initiative of Africa Continental Free Trade Area. Because most of the African countries are not, observing this, initiative. Understand? Like so, it affecting it failing the 2063 agenda. One of the aspirations, we also talk about the silencing of gun in 2020. Understand? That is not happening. So all these things is leadership problem. So I think we have to draw, or we have to draw from the curriculums and then redesign it. Understand? As people think, Pan African, because Pan Africanism is the only way that can change the Africans status, so the status quo of Africa as well. Yes.
Wonderful. The next question, I mean, you're touching some very pertinent issues right here. You talked about Agenda 2063. That's the blueprint of the development of Africa. I think it's okay, but, like you say, we have to work with the times on it. I mean, it's like a template that we never had for you young people now, whether you want to amend it or you want to adapt it, but you already identify the issue that without the curriculum, even that template is just going to be a written paper, right? All right. The one other thing I wanted to ask, like a young parliamentarian in the Pan-African Parliament, what does your agenda looks like? What are the things that you talked about? What are the objectives? How do you actually, how is this parliament represented? Because we know the headquarters is in South Africa. And South Africa is where all this happenings is actually or boiling this issue of I mean anti-African feelings and emotions and stuff like that. So in the Gambia Youth Parliament, as a parliamentarian, what do you talk about?
Yes, we as youth parliamentarians, like we talk about mostly the challenge of the young people, not only Gambia but across the Africa. This is what I thought. All my contributions, and it is based on Africa. I don't talk about only Gambia, because if Gambia is free, or else Africa is not free, that means we are not free. Understand? Because we face the same challenges. Understand? But these challenges can be conquered when we come together as an African youth, as an African Pan-Africanist, young peoples in Gambia. Understand? So we do advocate, for this Africa, as I told you earlier. Understand? This is what I'm doing with my other colleagues that were Pan-Africanists here. Understand? Like in the parliament also, like I would be love to be in that parliament. Understand? My perspective is based on borderless Africa, because this is what I've been championing for over the years. Is understand? Because I want Africa to become one. I don't want people think Africa has as a border which is not. It is artificial boundary which separate us from each other. So this borderless Africa, I will champion this in the parliaments, and I will make sure to know that the African young people to stay in Africa and change their mindset. Africa is a continent that we can make it here. We don't need to travel, because Africa have resources. We have everything here. Why are we going to travel again? Because there's no Europe, there's no France without Africa, because all those resources that they have, the development area economy, because what the resources they use to boost their economy are all from Africa. Now, when we make the best use of all these resources, now we are going to have realize we're going to have the Africa we want. So the only thing we can do, we have to press our leaders to make sure let them think about what we can do to make sure to monopolize our resources on us, to make sure we make the basis of our resources, so that we will not depend on foreign aids and so on. So that's it.
Yeah, wonderful. So if you're talking about, let's just focus on this curriculum. How do you, what can you describe, like how can an African centered or Afro-centered curriculum that represent the values and the structures and the knowledge about Africa to you? I mean, just like, I mean, it's not something that you were expecting to have as a question on this, to do a research on it. Like, what do you just think could be the main focus point on this curriculum?
Yes, we have, as I told you, we have the 23 agenda. So this agenda,
Mhm.
I have read so many books of like school and others books. We have civics, education that we are using as a book. But if you can read this book, there is no specific topic that is talking about the 23 agenda. Now, if all African leaders say now, this 23 agenda is going to be included in our curriculum, so that every young African children could learn these curriculums, could learn about Pan-Africanism, because Pan-Africanism should be its own, books, where people who learn in schools, its own subject. So if we focus on this subject I'm talking about as a Pan-Africanism subject, if we talk about bringing the 23 agenda in our curriculums, we will have the Africa we want, as I stated earlier. Yeah.
Absolute. That's very correct. I mean, of course, I'm a very big promoter, and not just a promoter of Africa, but Agenda 2063. Even my organization in Germany is named that slogan, "The Africa We Want." And I understand it like the Bible for Christians, or the Quran for Muslims of Africa. And so every African has to understand, Agenda 2063, because one of the issues that we faced this year, we just coming from celebrating the Africa Day, but there was no hype about it. It's not yet celebrated like we celebrate Christmas, like we celebrate Easter, like we celebrate Pentecost, like we don't basically, and that's the anthem, the blueprint, which is like the as I call, that's the curriculum. And even in that curriculum, the curriculum has an anthem. In that anthem, the anthem gives and support the values of
Absolutely.
African. Like there's a
Absolutely.
statement always there, like Africa, you're the tree of life in that anthem. So every schools, every community, every society must start by respecting that anthem and then reading the guidelines and the templates of it, isn't it?
Yeah, I want to come on that the anthem that you stated earlier, and then the
Yes.
celebration of African Liberation Day. I think, as you said, this should be celebrated like Eid, like Christmas and all. That is the fact. In fact, understand? I celebrated. I did the celebration with one of my teams, and we did celebration and so on. But now, as you can see, like the anthem of a Pan-Africanism, like the anthem of Africa, is not being, teach in schools, because so many people cannot sing these songs. Our children cannot sing this song. Now, if all schools say now, before we will start our meeting or whatsoever, we have to sing this song. People will understand what our leaders have, kept for us, and what our leaders have, these things of belonging to Africa is going to develop. And if we only make the best use of our resources and so on. So I think it's going to be very important. Every year, these celebrations should be national celebrations, where we can celebrate our culture, where we can, bring the histories of our founding fathers, the founding fathers, like the likes of Kwame Nkrumah, the likes of Julius Nyerere, the likes of Thomas Sankara, the likes of Patrice Lumumba of Congo, and so on, because they did well. We have to celebrate their heritage, because now I have remember I posted in my Facebook that, like, as I give the details of Africa Liberation Day. What was the comment? The comment was like, "Are we liberated?" So then everybody was, "Are we liberated?" Because we depend on foreign aid. Our curriculum is not changed. Why do you guys celebrate African liberation? I said, "And what? We are politically, we are liberated because we elect our representatives, but economically is the problem. So that can be changed if our leaders, ready to change, these curriculums, and if our leaders, ready to make sure, we, depends on our own resources rather than dependence on foreign aid. Understand? But I have to tell them that economically, I cannot say economically we are not liberated, but politically we are liberated. You understand? So we have to celebrate, and we are celebrating this to celebrate the legacies of our ancestors. Understand? Because they have fought a lot so that we Africa can be free from the oppression. Understand? So this have to be honor. Like Eid, like Christmas and others. This is not be just like observing a public holiday, with sitting at your home, drinking green tea or in alcohol, whatsoever. Understand? We have to celebrate it as we celebrate our independence. It is worth of it. We celebrate the honor of our ancestors, the fight they did for us. Today we talk today, we select our representative. It's because of our ancestors. If they don't fight for this liberation, are we going to select our representative? No, it's a big no to that. So we have to celebrate this day as others, occasion and so on. Thank you.
Wonderful. I think they always starting with a question of youth asking question is a very good beginning, because in the beginning we didn't even know whether there were questions that were existing. So yes, we have to celebrate like no other. Why? Because May 25th was the declaration of the unity of Africa after the breaking of Africa, the divide. So the real date was the 24th, May 24th, when they met in Addis Ababa. And they said, now our independence that are giving to us, but our culture, our language, our spirit, and everything are broken. So we have to come together. Like you said, there is already unity. Imagine if there was this agenda, this Africa Union, this was not existing. Just imagine after independence, when all the countries were given political independence and flags. Just imagine that the founding fathers did not gather in 1963 in Addis Ababa. Just imagine for a second what would have happened. What would have belonged of us? We would have just
Absolutely.
become a lost continent. So
Absolutely.
when they totally, after they fought for the independence and they saw, oh, wow, now we are free, not totally free. Let us first come together. I feel your wound, you feel my wound. What happened to you happened to me. And we try to reboot, we try to come back to our consciousness. Yes, the people who divided them did not actually give them a total freedom. So that
Absolutely.
fight now is just a fight like in every sector to total freedom, but it starts with the first celebration of the recognition that immediately after the wars and the liberation, they thought about one thing. Oh my God, brother, a thief came in, divided us, broke us, killed us, maimed our people. What are we going to do now? Julius Nyerere of Tanzania said, no, we have to, first of all, fix our own houses. And they,
Yeah.
before Addis Ababa, there were already meetings in Tanzania, where Julius Nyerere called upon them to say, let us use the model of our culture first. Because
Yeah.
once we keep our culture intact, we are going to succeed, right?
Absolutely.
So once you are like an Africa, thinking about the Africa Day, it is the day that African resurrected from its
Yeah.
divide system to unite itself again after the wars and to move ahead.
Absolutely.
So there's every reason for us to celebrate the African Day. Because if they did
Absolutely.
not gather, if they stood independently as independent countries, we would not have been talking about Africa today, isn't it?
Africa. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because they didn't only just divide, they changed the country's names, they changed every single thing that was in the country, and the country just became another model out of something else. So, but this unity that we have one African flag with all the stars on it is very symbolic. And we have to carry
Absolutely.
this flag with all the pride. We have to carry this flag. We have to wear our clothes like Mohammed, Excellency Ancestor Mohammed Gaddafi. He had all the flags of all the clothes he wore. You could see the African flags. So we're also looking at fabrics that will carry the Union of Africa on it. And we should be proud of that union that our forefathers built. It was not
Absolutely.
the foreign partners that united. The foreign partners came, they had done their work, they did their business, they divided, but it was left for Africans to gather together and build the Africa that we want. So Agenda
And
2063 is key. It is key for every African child, every African mother or father. It has to be translated into Swahili, into all the languages, into Hausa, into everything, so that we start sharing. Yes, you can still read your Quran, but I still have my African Union book that, I relate to all in terms of spirituality or in terms of what everything is connected into one. Nothing is wrong. We are not saying, no, this one is bad. This everything is good, but put a focus on your own values. That's what,
Yeah.
and I think that's what even the European systems are empowering and saying, yes, we did something that was not right. The Pope, who was recently in on the continent of Africa, apologized openly. We've seen it. Omara has been sharing that post about the involvement of the Catholic Church or the religious systems into the enslavement or in slavery of Africa. So the recognition is there. People
Yeah.
accepting we did wrong in the past. Let us come together and build a peaceful world that we can live together. So it's time for you,
Okay.
Africa, right?
Yes. Yeah, like I would say, like most of the Africans people don't understand whether Africa have the agenda for 2063. They don't know, because I will say that I will blame our leaders on that, because they are not telling more about this agenda, and they are not introducing this agenda to the schools, because as I said, this have to be introduced in our school curriculum, so that children can learn about Africa we want to live the agenda, so that in other way we can achieve this agenda. As I said, like in 20, in the one aspiration we stated that in 2020 all government silence in Africa. When you go to Sudan, there is a war. You go to Congo, there is a war. You go to Mali, there is a war. So this shows the agenda is failing. Understand? The free, as I earlier mentioned, the free continental trade area also. As you can see, it is not observed by most of the Africans country. That people, even our young people generation, those this is the initiative from the 2063 agenda as well. So all these things have to be translated to Swahili, French, Arabic, Portuguese, and every language where people can understand. They can read and understand what this agenda is talking about. Is very, very important. I think the African Liberation Day should be basically on this part where our leaders will come to the national televisions and discuss about the 2030 agenda, and discuss about Pan-Africanism, and discuss about the Ubuntu and the unity of Africa we want, and so on, so that we can develop ourselves. Thank you.
Mhm. Wonderful. I think that's like all over in the diaspora, the African Day at the African embassies, they're celebrated. Like in Germany, the African ambassadors, they always celebrate, they always commemorate. But like you said, it just like a small kind of a small house meeting party and stuff like that. We, the promoters of African culture in the diaspora, like us, on the upcoming Germany gathering of the African community worldwide, we because it's the unity of Africa when we meet from the 6th to the 9th of August, Saturday, we are dedicating it as Africa Day celebration 2026. And so you see what we usually do. We have a huge parade, parading the flags of every country. The children are wrapped up in their parade clothes. I would share some of the pictures when we get on that show. With Germany, a festival. So, but that's that pride. That is that identity to know. Oh yes, of course. When Christmas comes, we go out and celebrate. When Eid Mubarak comes, we go out and celebrate. Africa is a continent of celebration, of diversity. We celebrate everything. Why on earth can we not celebrate the Africa Day? Something
That's
is
the
wrong.
question. That's a question, because when I saw you saw up that flyer, I was wondering. When I saw the locations of the events, I was very excited. I was saying, come on, where these people are celebrating this Africa Day in Germany, and the African come together? Why not in our own country? So this keep me skeptical. Why are we not doing this? Because our leaders, that should be championing it. They are not doing that, because they fear of when they do this, they will lose the aid that they receive from these people, because they are still have the colonial mentality. So it's affects very well. So I think we also have to start doing this, because though I try with one of my, sometimes we go to the schools, we advocate about Pan-Africanism, we advocate about borderless. I did this with my friends, and so we have organization called Africa for Africans. So we are doing well in terms of reach out to the schools, tell students about Pan-Africanism. We also have the Pan-African Student Association in the University of the Gambia, which also use this to advocate in schools, and some of the students know about Pan-Africanism and so on. Now we are winning. I can see we are winning absolutely, but time will come, we'll be there, inshallah.
Wonderful. I think we are rounding up your own 30 minutes or 35 minutes into the conversation. That was very nice to have you here. And like I said, your Tuesday's show on the Africa We Want, the youth of Africa is speaking, is going to be handed over to you, the youth. I'm not going to be a host on the show again. So I already told the editor in chief, Omara, to already put on your program so that you guys would just begin. And I want to sit and listen to you and all the things that you want. So I want to thank you very much for being, a speaker and airing up one agenda, one Africa, one unity, one flag, one president. Of course, we can have the different governors or the different representatives. Nobody is just going to say now it's difficult for me to just give up my own language or give up my flag or give us that's okay. But we actually are advocating for one, which is already there. It's nothing that we're creating new. The African flag is there. The Agenda 2063. It's not a hidden document. Everything is there on the platform. Nobody's coming, to disconnect any other thing. So thank you so very much, Honorable. And I say power to you. We continue one
Yeah,
Africa,
thank
for
you so much.
Africans worldwide.
Yes, thank you. Regarding just the conclusions, as I
Yes.
always said, as xenophobia is not for Africa. We are all one. We have been one. Our ancestors, this is what we fought for, the unification of Africa. That's why they, came with the idea of the Pan-Africanism and this agenda where we can come together. We forget about the artificial boundary. Understand? I also see. I also tell you that I have one of my mentee here is very young and is in 13. She's in 13 years. She's I call her
13 years.
Arikana
Wait,
Junior. Yes,
you
I'm
put her
mentoring
on the
her very.
camera.
Yeah, no, she went for school. She went to school, but when she maybe already I'll bring her to camera. It's 13 years, but maybe I will share the video with the host. Then she will share it to you. He will share it to you, and you can check the video. I'm grooming her very well. She's very smart. I call her Arikana Junior because she's doing well. So like I want every young people there, every Pan Africans youth there. You can also have a mentee like others. Bring the youth, understand. Make sure let them think about Africa. Let them make sure they have a home in Africa, understand? With this, we're gonna conquer. Pan African is not only should not be based on only one gender, like males advocate. We have to bring the female, we have to bring other gender, understand? Because there's no success without women. We have to bring these people. So that's why I'm mentoring my this young girl is coming up. Oh man, I'm so proud of her. I've seen a video with you. Then you can check and you can share with others.
All
African youth.
right. And you add Dr. Susan Tatah to her name. Okay. So,
Thank you.
no, but yes, but before you go, this is very key. I think we are also developing a model of one teach one or group teach group, like parent, like
Yeah.
all those that are conscious, they teach the others. It's just a
Yeah.
system of give over, I give over, I give over, from the youths to the babies, even to the babies, to the names, to how we interact with them. So we are going to take it, big it up, big up, big up, big up for you. We're going to get that one next coming up on Pan African Daily TV. Thank you for being our
Thank
guest. And now we're going
you.
to welcome the next guest into the studio. And this other one is also your brother and also has been very articulate. But before we bring him, let's just listen and just see the dates and keep something in our mind. Okay, as you can see, we were already dancing here. Honorable Abubakar just charged our brains up, and we were waxing to the djembe and the kora, and just going all around the place. So that's the spirit that we're going to be celebrating Africa in the diaspora as the diaspora meet in Germany from the 6th to the 9th of August. If you happen to be anywhere around the continent of Europe, or you happen to just say, oh my God, I just want to fly in, please do not forget to stop in Germany, because in Germany, that's where everything started. And in Germany, that's where everything is going to unite. Okay. So thank you so very much. I have with me here, he's not a no name. He's a popular face on Pan African Daily TV, our youth and champion, Darlington Kiyongo from Kenya, from county, from which county? This is my county. From Turkana, from Turkana County, where Patrick Kasarim might be watching me now live from the show. And this is the I can say this is the downgrade of Patrick, or the youth and the seed of Patrick right now. So I want to thank you for joining us. I mean, Darlington, I know we've been talking about a lot of things, but today we just want to talk about, xenophobia is not African. If you want to relate it, you want to compare it with Kenya. We know Kenya is being on the red list now for a lot of things, for even accepting Ebola virus infected from foreign countries to host them in Kenya. We've heard, I mean, Kenya has been on the list, on the top list now for some good things, for also hosting the Africa Forward Summit that we saw. But it's also been as a top critical country where people are actually agitating and say, hey, Mr. Ruto, brother, what is going on? We don't understand what is happening, brother. And but Kenya has never stood on to say all Africans must leave. On the contrary, Kenyan and the other East African communities are giving free travel, free access, visa, free trade movement, encouraging investors into that country. And so Kenya is one of the top destinations that says xenophobia, or like Professor PLO Lumumba said, Afrophobia is not African. So what would you say to that in compared to Kenya, the culture, particularly the Turkana people?
Thank you so much, my mentor, Dr. Susan Tatah. As I always introduce my names, I'm Darlington Kiyonga, popularly known as Ajun Kiyonga. I am from Kenya, Turkana County, that is located in northwestern part of Kenya. Turkana County is known as a predominant pastoral community, where livelihoods depends on the herds and livestock they rear. And as a proud son of the soil, I'm here today as one of the ambassador of change, as a pundit and as a correspondent. In addition to that, I am a recent mentee from the PLO Lumumba Foundation, where I partook a 3-month virtual mentorship program dubbed ELAS, and I hope you also was one of the facilitator during our time. And I'm very proud again, you've again given me another chance to be mentored and also to be part and parcel of this journey that requires each and everyone, regardless to the gender, age, and color. Back to our topic about xenophobia is not an African. I want to begin by saying Kenya is a democratic country. Kenya is an African country that believes Kenya is only for Africans. No African is excluded. No African can be denied permission to enter into Kenya to do whatever he or she decides to do, as long as it goes per the Constitution. In our country, people from Zimbabwe, South Africa, South Sudan, Somalia, Ethiopia, and Uganda, and many other African countries, they always come and stay in our country because we don't segregate our fellow Africans. We welcome them. When there are wars in our neighboring countries, we always act as refuge to them. We give them a piece of land to stay. We give them all permits to be free and to do whatever they want to do in our country. It shocks me and it disheartens me as a Pan-Africanist to see a country like South Africa, a country that survived apartheid regime that was introduced by Dr. Malan, segregating and trying to kill our own people, our own African people, who are not foreigners, who went there looking for greener pastures, because they say we cannot be stowaways. We cannot go away of our continent, of our mother continent, to go and look for greener pastures outside other continent that has stolen our resources and then oppressed us. This is really sad. It is something that is utterly loathed and has to be reprimanded by all possible strong words. A country like South Africa needs reincarnation, needs a leadership that is people-centric, needs a country that values the culture of an African people, a country that needs to integrate people from any country across the continent, because we cannot afford the luxury of disunity as a people. We need to make change, and the change is inevitable. Xenophobia is not an African. The prejudice is not really good at all. Even if I was the one doing for someone like that, I can also feel for myself. If it were me, I wouldn't have been feeling good. So in my country, it is really different with what is happening in South Africa, because we understand. People from my country understand. You cannot extradite a person who has come to seek for refuge in you, a person who has come saying that I think this is the better place that I'm supposed to be, instead of going to other continent. I say xenophobia is not an African, and it should not be accepted anywhere, anytime, and otherwise. Xenophobia has no space in our continent, and this has to be a lesson to other African countries that secretively do this. They should act. This should act as an example that they should not oppress their own children, sons and daughters. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Darlington, aka Ajun. I mean, you have condemned it, and it's very true. The constitution of no African country states that any African is foreign in their land. We do understand that also the issue of illegal, undocumented citizens could also be a problem. For instance, because of insecurity, something can happen. And if an individual is not documented, you wouldn't be able to trace the source of whatever situation happened. I mean, we're not just talking about crimes. Let's just talk about even accidents. A foreign that doesn't have families or neighbors or people left his own country, maybe the parents, or we find that out here all the time. Suddenly something would happen and they want to reach out to the people. And if you are not documented where they can trace, it is a problem. So, but this has nothing to do with Afrophobia or xenophobia. This is just to say most of the governments are talking about illegal migration because of the undocumented citizens. Like, in case something happens, we are now open, we're war proxies all over the world. We know people that just bomb themselves or just run into and scatter the whole thing for whatever reasons, and if such an individual is not documented, is going to go hassle free, isn't it? So documented, and I think that was what President of Rwanda was actually pointing out, to say, yes, Rwanda is open to all citizens of Africa, but we need documented citizens. So while we condemn this act, we also have to be aware as African in African countries that you are in another country, go and get your documents. Documents doesn't mean you have the legacy or the legality to stay in that country. Probably because of the constitution, and these constitutions, we know the origins that had to divide all this Africa. That's why we still have the boundaries even in our curriculums. Like your brother Honorable was saying, until the curriculum is decolonized, we're still going to turn around the whole template and nothing would change. So one of the issues on migration and integration into other countries, we should not forget about that. Does it make sense? Darlington, are you listening? Do you hear me? Are you still here? It's like you're stopped. Your camera is not moving. Let me see those who are watching.
I'm getting you well and clear.
All right.
I'm getting you.
Yes. What is your comment on what I said about undocumentation?
All right. I want to begin by saying maybe these Africans who are said to be undocumented, who are said to be illegal immigrants, they do find it difficult to go to these centers where they are supposed to get documents because the system is compromised. The process is very long and they cannot afford to go to the cities. Like I go from Kenya here, I go to Niamey to ask for documentation. I don't know anyone. I don't know where the office is located. You know, it becomes a challenge. And because I see these are my fellow Africans, there's no need for me to go and look for another, for this compromise system. I just start life there because if I see it is favorable. Our systems are very, very, very compromised. Even if you will go, you will be asked a lot of questions. Where do you come from? What has brought you here? What is the reason of your immigration? What impact? You know, and because our African people, they always think when someone comes to the office, they must be bribed. You know, those are some of the issues, sensitive issues that people try to avoid when they are entering into a neighboring country. So these artificial boundaries were inculcated to us by the whites in order to make us weak, to divide us, so that we work under their behest. I advise the authorities in charge of immigrant offices not to jail, not to extradite Africans when they see in their countries. Because the problem of Africa is of an African again. If I jail my fellow African, the problem, I have not yet solved the problem of Africa. The problem will still continue. It is good when I meet a fellow African, we exchange culture, we discuss, how about your country? Then we come with solutions. We discuss, then after brainstorming, we come with a rigid solution, and that the gospel will be reaching each and everyone. Because when the person will go back to his country, he will attest, he will give a testimony that I met with somebody else. He or she was very liberal. We discussed about this and this about Africa. And when the people will roger that, the message will be emanating all over the continent. And it is replica to what is happening now in Pan-African Daily TV. I want to use the Pan-African Daily TV as an example for that matter. Because the message is loud and clear. Everybody is included here. That's what we need to have as Africans. No need of xenophobia, no need of, ousting the undocumented citizen because of the artificial boundaries. That's why I always support. I have signed a document saying Africa has to be borderless because I have my own reasons as the small experience that I have as a young person. I've ever been to the border. I was asked questions. If you want to go to South Sudan, you must be checked, you must be asked questions. The permit document that you've just stated. If I want to go to Uganda, the same. If I will not produce, I can either be jailed or killed. This is so sad. In a nutshell, I mean, Africa can only realize their potential if we give Africa a chance to express themselves, a chance to go wherever he or she thinks is better for him. That is the time Africa is going to realize their potential, because exposure is very important. You learn the culture there, you come and implement here in Kenya. A Ugandan come to Kenya, he learns, then he go, when he returns back to his or her homeland, he will go with rich culture, a new culture, and as a new person, a bona fide person. That's really important. So these documents that are said to be restricting the movement of Africans to validate their reason of stay, it is not pertinent at all. It is very inconsequential and grossly unjust to the sons and daughters of the soil.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, I got you and you got me. And I'm so proud. That question was intentionally a provocation to understand how you young people see this kind of leaders that divide the continent and justify with petty things like, oh, undocumented citizens. Like, who is really, for God's sake, an undocumented citizen in their own continent and on their own continent? I'm truly very happy because you've actually trashed it. This is exactly the mindset that we are talking about, and I'm so happy that you followed our mentorships on all the platforms that we're doing, and you're actually the product of what we mentored about, and that is coming out. As a host, of course, I'm not here to water you. I'm here to push you, to throw you into the water and allow you to swim. I'm here to provoke you to think differently. I'm here to ask difficult questions, to groom you up so that you are able and you are adequate to it. But you have responded as a leader of integrity. You have disagreed. It's a kind of like redebating and reconstructing what leaders that are so-called leaders or misleaders could have just put it in a very similar format without complicating. So I truly, truly respect you and I congratulate you. Darlington, is never it's never a wrong thing having you here on Pan-African Daily and in the Pan-African Daily TV correspondent mentorship group. I'm so happy for your opinion, for your expression, and even Honorable Abubakar, who was here. I mean, I'm so proud to see that you are coming from my group and that all these things that we've been doing just in a couple of short while is really yielding, is really reaching the audience. And now you are beginning to speak. You're beginning to design the Africa that you want to see. I truly thank you. You have 2 minutes to conclude because we'll be rounding up now. So what is the general conclusion, like one word for Africans worldwide about one Africa and no to xenophobia in every format? No way.
Okay, thank you so much. My parting shot about the xenophobia is not an African, is that Africa has to decolonize our mindset, our mind. Africans has to redefine, to restructure the systems that are compromised, that are the copycat activity of what is happening in West. Africa has to redefine our history very well. There is no way an African can be a hostage or can be an illegal migrant in his or our own land. We cannot continue to avoid the luxury of these unyielding copycat activities that were brought from the Western countries. As a young person and as an African, I will be proud to see a girl or a boy from Zimbabwe coming to Kenya using the route, maybe from our region here in my county, Turkana, from South Sudan. No document needed, because our decolonized mindsets only understand that if we shepherd the free movement of goods, services, and people from one country to another, we are going to promote an African intra-trade, and that will result to the rise of the GDP of every country in Africa. That will be the time our fiber economic blocks will start gaining momentum again, because they will be working more closely and consolidating their efforts. Africa is going to be great, and Africa is great. I conclude by saying, I want to quote the words said by Osagivo Kwame Nkrumah. He once said, "I am not an African because I was born in Africa. I am an African because Africa was born in me." That is exactly what we need to think as young people. And I conclude by saying, the greatest inheritance that you can give your children is a borderless Africa, is a united Africa, is an Africa with one currency, and Africa with one military power. Thank you so much. God bless you all. Anything that concerns the global south, count me in. Even if I'm not prepared, I'm always there for Africa. Africa is my business, and I will die for Africa. I love this continent. Thank you so much.
Amanla. Amanla. Yes. Thank you so very much, son of the soil.
Amanla. Awedu.
Away too. Thank you so very much, sons of Africa and daughters of Africa, mothers of Africa, elders of Africa, ancestors of Africa, the origin of humanity. All people came from Mother Africa, black, purple, yellow, white, all. And thank you so very much for connecting to hear our young champions actually brewing up, picking up the mantle. Now we can relax. Professor PLO can relax. Dr. Susan Tatah, Dr. Arikana, Professor James Small, Professor Baina, all of us can relax now. We can go on retirement because we know that the message, that the revolution, that the spirit of oneness has not left you. At least, even if we retire, we relax in the background, we know that our children have understood, that they have picking it up, that they have understood exactly the mission and the purpose why they're here. So I thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. I honor you, my kings, my young kings that are coming. That's the right way to go. That's the right mantle. That's the right spirit. Let nobody tell you anything else. That is the way. That is the way. Only one way. Only one way leads to the freedom of Africa. Only one way. There is no roundabout in that way. It's one way, one Africa by Africans for Africa. Only one way. No, nothing. So I salute you here. I thank you. I also thank one of my honorable members that, are members on Pan-African Daily TV. And I'm including, or I'm concluding to say, you young people, those of you or anybody that is new on this Pan-African Daily TV for the first time, please do not hesitate. Don't even hesitate. Like our brother, our young elder, I call you young elder because you're all reincarnations of your ancestors, continuing the work that they left behind. All of you are the Kwame Nkrumahs. All of you are the Marcus Garveys. All of you are the Malcolm X. All of you are the Ya Asantewa. All of you are the Harriet Tubmans. All of us are coming back like the seeds that went, and are coming back. I'm connecting and facilitating and bringing Africans together. An ancestor, what did it? Harriet Tubman did it. I could be Harriet Tubman. I could be Ya Asantewa. So we are always coming back. We don't die. We always reconnect back to continue until everything we go back home in our mind. So I really, really want to thank you. I'm so happy. And one really honorable youth that is the editor-in-chief on Pan-African Daily TV. I cannot thank you so much, Omara. Omara is Amin and Ajun and all of you that have been coming here, Lupenda and Siyali, Joy, all of these mentees that we have in the Pan-African Daily TV correspondent group, working and coming live and telling all this things. If you are not yet a member on this correspondent, please, to tell the African story, join us on WhatsApp. I mean, that's the editor-in-chief right there. So the one last thing, Ajun, that I want to say, I'm sorry, I'm just going to keep you here live on the studio just to do some of these few announcements, if you don't mind. I want to hold water because I'm already like thirsty, but let's just get the meeting on. So you see, that's the vibe, that's the anthem, that's the song of Africa Festival in Tübingen, Germany, that is going to be shaking up the whole 4 days from Thursday the 6th to Sunday the 9th. Africans worldwide are gathering for a community connection meeting in Germany. Like we said, we know a lot of histories that is connecting Germany to Africa. And if the divide came from Germany, so the connection and the unity can also, start back from Germany. So I welcome everybody that is interested. We've been posting, we've been sharing. Omara is on board, Pan-African Daily TV. You people are reporting on it. So this event is going to be one of a historic event for Africans reconnecting in the right direction and the new spirit of awakening of one Africa and Pan-Africanism is the breadbox of Africa. So I think Shelling is in, and I'm so happy. I thought that she would not be able to make it, but I can see she's in the studio and joining us, I think from Liberia, from where's Shelling coming from? Let me see here. Shelling is joining us from Zimbabwe. Oh my God. Ajun, you called Zimbabweans, and Zimbabweans are right here right now. You had called and say our people from Zimbabwe joining us. So we actually miss Ambassador Moses Sarr. And like Omara just said, there's heavy rains in the city of Monrovia. And so it's not possible. Our sister, Princess Queen Olarinde Obolua, I think is also not being able. So we have you sit in for Ambassador Moses. And this is the spirit that we want. Regardless who is on the poster, We always need people. That's what we do on Pan African Daily TV, to just join the slot, right? And like I said, Ajun, from Tuesday next week, you're going to start hosting your program, because I have my own program, my own series on Pan African Daily TV with Dr. Susan Tatah, and I cannot. There's a lot of list, so please look for your host on the Africa We Want Youth Voices on Pan African Daily. I think I helped a lot for all this times, these 4 series that you've been doing. It will be a pleasure for you to have your own host. Okay. So let me check if Shalene is ready. Shalene, are you ready? Let's see. Shalene, can you hear us?
Yes, I can
Ajahn,
hear
please
you, ma'am.
remove you. So, yeah. Wonderful. How are you doing?
I'm all right. Thank you. How are you?
I'm okay. Beautiful, beautiful princess. You're so beautiful. It's a pleasure to have you here, Shalene. I know it's not been easy with the connections, and I just hope that it's not going to be stuck like what we're already seeing now, people. So let us keep our hands crossed and tell our ancestors, please, release everything here so she can be able to share and talk to us. Wonderful, Shalene. I know you're having a challenge with your connection, but let's just dive in on the conversation. You've been listening to us, and the issue of xenophobia, we say no, it is not African. It means it's not an African culture. It is something, it's a virus that is just like any other virus that is affecting people. So, Zimbabwe, and your voice, and you're speaking on the behalf of your youth and the girls and the women and every African worldwide. So, go ahead. Let's listen to you, Shelley.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Tatah. Yes. My name is Shelin, for introduction sake, and I'm from Zimbabwe. I'm 22 years old, born and bred in Zimbabwe. So, xenophobia, right? Last week, we were supposed to have this meeting last week, and I did some research about it at first, but of course, I have sort of first-hand information because sometimes I find myself in South Africa as well, but the Cape Town side. So xenophobia, apparently, it started just after when South Africa gained its independence, right? And then the South Africans, they have a certain mentality to say they are a superior race, kind of, right? But it's not all of them. And it's, even let's say if it's a country's big, right? There's always a minority group who is just trying to feel like they are more unique or they're more special than the other, of which that's not the case. I started going to South Africa, that was in 2020, just after the COVID era. So that time there was no xenophobia apparently. So I had a conversation with this one of the Zulu guys, right? One of my friends. Then I asked him, what do you think and why, what pushes people to behave in such a barbaric manner? Something that us as Africans, we are not expected to behave in such a manner. Then his answer was, you know what, Shelly? People are crazy out there, right? South Africa, as big as it is, some people they maybe think they're actually thinking to say the resources they have, they are just enough for themselves, not for everybody else. That's why now when they see anyone who's from any other country or any other race per se, they feel like okay, they're going to put more pressure on resources, of which extinguish the resources. They've been there ever since, I don't know. But if they extinguished, not at all. That's still there. It's just the mentality with these same people, especially I've noticed it mostly among the Zulu people. The Zulu people are the ones who are more radical, right? They feel like they are the South Africans, like Zulu, especially KwaZulu Natal, that side, Durban, Johannesburg, Pretoria, yeah, some parts of East London, yes, some parts, but that side is a bit calm, right? So it's alarming, especially now, because last week there were some Ghanaians that were released outside South Africa. The Ghanaian government actually sent planes to rescue the nationals from South Africa back to uh, Ghana. Of which, yeah, it's a good initiative, yes, but looking at us as Africans, is it proper to behave in such a manner? Is it okay? Can we promote or can we support such kind of behavior where we see a fellow African being bent, tied by tires, someone pour petrol or diesel or even paraffin just to bend someone live? That's inhuman. It's anti-African if we put it across that way. You know, as Africans, we're supposed to have oneness, unity. That's why we have unity, unity holiday, unity day, the one that we celebrate in December. It shows that we have that unity, we have that cohesion, we have as Africans. But the moment we start behaving in such a manner, it shows that we are trying to disconnect, to discontinue whatever the unity, the peace that has been reigning for some time. So practically, that's what I think, ma'am.
Absolutely, you're right, Charlene. It's There's the disconnect. We do agree. If you look at the history of our people, I think it was Elder Craft or somebody that was here just saying, if we look at the situation occurring in Africa or in South Africa, leading to these issues, we can attach it to the psychological, you know, let me call it diseases of colonial remnant, right? I mean, if you look at the poverty, the impoverished communities, and particularly a country like South Africa, where you have this total, the modern system or the apartheid regime without land, without jobs, and others, and the others. So it causes this kind of a psychological hate, like, but in the wrong in the wrong channel, So I mean, I tend to say we are at the stage of healing from all the wounds of the past in every sector, not only South
Yes,
Africa or stuff like that. I mean, like, because like you said, how can a human being be so go to such an extreme? It is not normal, isn't it?
it is not. It is not. It is not acceptable at all. And if we look at a more extensive way, the same system or the same social behavior, antisocial actually, let me put it across that way, it's antisocial behavior. It's affecting a lot of things right there in South Africa itself. I have a sister who lives there. She's in Cape Town. Of course, that side it's still a bit calm, like I said, but I have another brother who's in Durban right now. He sends me videos almost every day about what's currently going on. The economic sector of South Africa, as it stands, the rand is going down. Why? If we look at the SADC community, South Africa right now it's not part of SADC. Yes, for some reason they haven't joined SADC. But how now? If we look at it at the world, is it the economic view? Rand is going down. Why? There's a thing that they do. I'm not quite sure where exactly, but there's this thing that they do. Let's say if a country is facing war or anything that is antisocial, things that leads to the death of a lot of people and stuff like that, same thing that is like xenophobia, the currency, the money they use that side, it goes down international at an international level, right? As compared to dollar right now, rand is really going down. Of which that's affecting their economy. Themselves, they might say, no, these people going back to their countries, it's allowing us to have more opportunities, more job opportunities, whatever, etc. But the downside, they're not seeing it that way because it just doesn't happen like that. Let's say it's a company, the director is being dismissed. Let's say the director maybe is a Ghanaian, he's been dismissed. The chief auditor maybe is some Zimbabwean, dismissed again. The company will just go down. You can't revamp it within a space of one day or even a week or even a month. You can't do that. So many companies are going to lose people who were making sure that those same companies stand where they are right now. Because of what? Because of some people who have a mentality that they can't share. You see? So it's affecting a lot of sectors, economically, psychologically, because let's say if you have a relative, right? You have seen your relatives being treated that way. Your relative being tied, because what those guys they do, they'll take a tire for a car, that one. They'll tie it around your body. They'll put either something that burns, petrol or diesel or whatever, yeah? Then you as a family member, you are seeing your family member being treated in such a manner. Psychologically, you'll be disturbed. Like, for some time, that you need a counselor or whatever, someone who can at least help you through therapy. That's a lot. For some that we could have avoided, just by dialogue. Me personally, professionally, I'm a lawyer. There's what we call ADR, alternative dispute resolutions. It can come in place at this point, whereby they have to sit down, the government and the same people, the radical ones, right? They have to sit down, agree on a certain way. If they want other nationals to go, let it be something that is peaceful, something that doesn't have any violence in it. You understand? Because the moment you start putting violence in things, there's nothing that is going to work. There's nothing that's going to work. You end up hating people who doesn't even deserve the same hatred, who end up facing aftermath of the same events, because xenophobia, it started a long time. That was like somewhere like 2008, if I'm not mistaken. Since then, some people, me right now, I'm staying in Zambia for some schoolwork, school stuff. There's a certain group, tribe, I might say, in Zambia. They like feel South Africa is not a safe place, And when you ask them, why do you think it's not a safe place? The only thing that comes to their mind is xenophobia. No, there are so many tribes or whatever. No, it's only one thing: xenophobia. It has traumatized everyone, even someone who has never been there. Just once they've heard of it, they feel like, no, I can't. You see, so in the long run, we are going to affect so many things. We are going to destroy people's dreams. Someone maybe would want to really stay in South Africa, but because of that, they will end up hindering themselves going that side. Or maybe you have a child, in South Africa, by the way, there are good universities. Maybe you want to send your child there for education and whatever, but then you feel like, no, I can't do that. Because maybe my child won't be safe or stuff like that. Of which, that things we can avoid. We can really avoid such, through dialogue.
Thank you very much, Charlene. You are a lawyer. Tell us about that. What sector of law are you into it? Because exactly, I watch advocates. Oh my God, it's just slipped off my head, and I've been a panel with him. We have been on one panel together, but his name just slipped out. You remember the lawyers for Pan-Africanism or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That group that is coming up, and they were in the parliament and to talk about it. And I'm very happy that you are telling us. I mean, Pan-African Daily TV youths are we're getting into the core, this competence of people who not just speak, but they're talking because they understand the constitution and things that are going on. Like what kind of articles or constitution would allow such a crime, and how do you see it from the point of view of a lawyer?
Okay, speaking from an advocate point of view,
Yeah.
Those people who are being affected, they need advocacy. And looking at a lawyer side, there are two sides always. There's the prosecution side and there's the defense side. So us as Africans who are against such behavior, of course, we're going to defend the victims, right? How we are going to do that is, first, it's safety. If you look at the UHDR, the United Declaration of Human Rights, Article 2, there is the right to life, right? So someone being deprived the right to life, it means that you are infringing the United Declaration, something that binds all the nation, right? So South Africa doing that, it's finding itself contravening with so many laws. Even in South Africa, I passed there's this I'm not sure, let me not quote a wrong article, but there is also the right of life. They really advocate for that. But it won't be fair if you're just advocating for your own nationals. The right to life, it should be a universal thing, right? Not to say your own nationals, your own people. No, every person who comes there through immigration, they pay the immigration fines, they have the visa, they have everything, they have the right documents to be there. And by so doing, they deserve protection. So, in an advocacy way, the government itself is supposed to protect the immigrants, the foreigners, and everybody else. Because if they put their people first, it shows that they are not partial, they're actually biased. The moment you start supporting your own nationals just because they are South Africans and you are depriving other people's rights, that's ultra bias. That's something that should not be considered as law, and they're supposed to face justice. And I'm sure right now, if the International Court of Justice is not doing something about this, then we are supposed to question them as well, right? You're supposed to question them as well, because them as the International Court of Justice, it's supposed to make sure that the nationals that are doing things that contravenes the laws, they're supposed to be put on book. They're supposed to answer to whatever that they're doing. But if we cannot ask them, and if they cannot change or do something to protect the foreigners, the other nationals that are in South Africa, then it means they don't care.
In this particular case, do these families of the victims that are extradited in such a horrible way, do they get, I mean, of course, defense, but do they get compensation? Or isn't it right that they should get compensation from the government?
They're supposed to get compensation, but as you know, there's no amount of money or anything that can be equivalent to human life, right? So they are supposed to do something, but I've never heard of any instance or whatsoever where they've allocated the family members of that same person who was a victim of xenophobia. I've never heard where they at least even offered burial services, where they buy a coffin or cater for the funeral, whatever, everything. I've never heard. It ends on social media where you just see even South Africans themselves, the South Africans, you check on the comment sections. So the saying all sorts of things. Just go back to your country, just go back to your country. But it's not that easy for someone to move away from home. It means they're lacking something. They want to make a better life. They want to change something in their family. Now, when they face such trajectory, when they face such calamities in another country, they need help. So that's something we're supposed to consider as Africa. But there are so many mechanisms. There are so many mechanisms that protect human lives. The UN, World Health, what's that? There are a lot actually. Let me not even limit myself. There are a lot. There are so many. Even this same one, Pan-Africanism. We are supposed to promote human life. That's the first thing. Without human life, without the humans, without human beings on earth, there's nothing we are protecting. Absolutely nothing.
Yes.
So if we are failing to protect the raw material, the primary source for everything, for every production under this earth, then we are not going anywhere. So it's something that's supposed to be talked about in a wider sense, whereby the presidents, the ambassadors, people, because I'm sure in every country there are ambassadors that represent each and every other country, right? That same the same news I was telling you about the Ghanaians, yes, those ones who were being transported back. The ambassador was there. He was there. Yes, he did his job. I applaud him for that, like making sure they're safe at the airport, making sure that they board their planes and do stuff like that. I applaud him for that. But where was he when his own nationals were abused? Did they say anything to protect them? No. Where our ambassadors for all these other foreign nationals in South Africa? They are not saying anything. Of which, when you are an ambassador, you are a steward, you are the voice of everybody else that who is there who's not supposed to be there. But when you find your people there being abused, being attacked, killed, burnt, and you find yourself quiet, I don't think that's fair. And it's something that even the president, because I'm sure an ambassador is appointed by the president himself to go there, right? So if our president knows that their voices, ambassadors, the people who have put there to make sure that their own nationals are safe in that same foreign country, if they're not doing that job, they're supposed to be questioned.
That's correct. Charlene,
Supposed
I
to be.
know, yes, I know this is, but you see, that's the power of Africanness. I mean, even the compensations, like you're saying, what amount can compensate for a life? And that's when our Ubuntu-ness plays that bigger role. Going through this kind of a situation in a foreign country, please, actually, we lack words, but we applaud our African communities, because it's not every South African, it's not everyone, it's just a minority group, of,
Yes.
like, say, people that, whatever reason might have happened to them. But you see, the majority of the communities are very helpful too. South Africans, I've had to talk with a lot of them, or Pan-African groups in South Africa, that are saying, hey, Dr. Tatah, this is just a small group of people, as we know, that would always extremes in every community. It doesn't represent South Africans. It doesn't represent our agenda for Pan-Africanism. Of course, we do agree and understand that South Africa would not also be what it is today if other African nations did not support. So they truly apologize. They fight even for these people. We see them online, South African girls and women talking, I mean, really about the situation. So we thank the Ubuntu-ness and that spirit in us. And I really thank you for coming to share. I know how difficult it has been challenging for you people to be live on Pan-African Daily TV, but that's the challenge. At every step, we're always going to face these challenges. But the fact that you
Yes.
don't give up, that resistance to say, no, I have to be there. It doesn't matter what happens, I will be there. And finally, you find yourself there. That is the Ubuntu. That's the power of Africanness. And that's the unity among us. Thank you so very much. Can you just round up your conversation? I know I'm going to have you again in another session, because I think the speaker from Nigeria is trying to connect, coming and going out, so that probably, we can also have her hear her voice. Olarinde, we see you in the studio. Please just be there. We're going to bring you live shortly. So Charlene, what last word, what do you want to really tell Africans that are watching us about this attitude? Life first.
Okay. So firstly, I want to address the victims, foreign nationals who are staying in South Africa. Uh, first and foremost, be prayerful. Pray to God for protection. That's the first thing. God Almighty is always there for us. Whatever being you believe in, I don't want to sound like discriminating on other races, another religions per se. Whatever you believe in, whatever you feel that is going to protect you, please do it. There's always a supreme being up there who's going to protect you. He's omniscient, he's omnipresent, he's everywhere, he can protect you. Then another thing, find yourselves in a place where you are in a group. Don't move alone. If it's at night, don't move alone. Make sure you're moving in a group of 5 or 6 people. You always have a way. When you're in a group, you can defend yourselves better. And then to the perpetrators, please, guys, we are one Africa, we are one nation, we are one world. We are a world in our own. Being black is unique. Being black is special. How do you feel when your own sister is being abused like that? Just think it in a way whereby it's your own family, a small family, 5 people. One person is just having his own idea. Then the other four are being affected. But whatever decision that you've made, come to think of it, how it will affect your family. See South Africa as a family. See the whole Africans, the other foreigners who are in South Africa as your family. Protect them at all costs. There's always a way to talk things through. If it is unemployment, if it is resources that you feel like you're squashing or you're reducing or you're putting pressure on, there's always a way. Resources, they're never ending. Even if you say no, resources they extinguish, but they extinguish with what time? That's 1,000 years plus. It's another generation plus another one. So there's still always something for everybody. So we have to promote oneness. Let's promote oneness. Let's promote Africanism. Let's promote peace above all. Let's promote love. The moment you love your sister, the moment you love your brother, trust me, you see no difference. So thank you so much, Madam Tata, for having me. I really appreciate.
Thank you so very much, Sister Shalene, for being with us. We truly appreciate you. We didn't even know that you would make it to this program. Your words are powerful, they are inspiring. The one beautiful thing that you're saying, regardless of your belief or your faith or your religion, we all know that there's the utmost creator of the universe upon which we all depend as a source of energy and life regardless. Thank you so very much, Shalene. I'm very sure I'm going to have you here very often. I'm also very sure that you're going to be hosting, all the other youths here. Like I said, this is my last day of hosting your programs. I have my own series. So you have to be the host on the youths and speaking out for youth. And that would really be necessary on Pan African Daily. So thank you, ma'am, for being here. We love and
Thank you
appreciate
so
you.
much.
Okay.
Sure.
Yes, and
Thank you
just stay
so
here
much.
for us. Yes,
All
thank
right.
you. So we have Ola Rinde. Ola, please. I see your camera, but on live we are not seeing you here. Content strategist, founder, business owner. Wow. Let us see what this powerful, intelligent princess is coming to share with us here. Your camera is freezing. Your camera is freezing, Ola. All right. Let me try. Try to reconnect. Try to reconnect. I can see your fellow sister here, Laura Pendo. I think I also saw Joyce talking about the heat in South Sudan and Africa as a whole. That is also something that we should be talking about. I mean, the recent climate and narratives, I call it climate narratives globally, it's appalling, particularly on the continent of Africa, which nature and environment is still untapped. Means we still have the natural energy and the natural ingredients of nature in Africa. We have trees, we have countries that are mountainous. It's just not understandable the kind of heat that is hitting even the global world in Africa. I mean, we talking to people on the continent. They said they've never experienced such a thing before in their lives, and we just don't know. We have to pray. We really have to pray. We have to intercede. We have to. I mean, with every single might and faith in us, to understand that truly, truly, truly something is not acting right or so favorable. What is it that we're doing wrong out here? So finally, thank you, Laura. I can see you. And we have Olarinde Obalolua. I just love you because I will never see a foreign name on your names. That's why it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much we do it, you're going to call those African names originally the way they were. Can you hear me,
Yes,
Ola?
yes, I can. Dr. Tata, can you hear me as well?
I can hear you, ma'am. Thank you so much for being here, Ola. I know the pain that you've gone through to be here with us today. So I don't want to take your time. I just want to give you the studio because I just don't know what is going to happen again next with your connection out there. We are talking about xenophobia is not African. You are a content strategist, founders, and business owners. Tell us about you and tell us your opinion or what is your statement on all these, uprisings on the continent of Africa. Go
Thank
ahead,
you so
Ola.
much, Dr. Tatah, for having me here. I really appreciate and I'm so honored to be here today. So, my name is Olariyo Banilua. I am a content strategist. I help founders, professionals to strengthen their online expertise through strategic content, personal branding, audience and investors competition. I'm based on LinkedIn especially. But today, our topic, xenophobia is not African. Firstly, I'd like to tell us what we understand by xenophobia. Xenophobia is a deep-seated fear and hatred for foreigners, especially among the Africans. It is a situation whereby we don't have the theology of what we call Ubuntu. I hope have you ever heard of that word, Dr. Sata? Yes. So when we talk about Ubuntu, it means togetherness. So xenophobia contradicts the core tenets of Pan-Africanism, which is not meant to be. As Africans, looking at our deep roots, looking at where our forefathers have been coming from, there is nothing like what I'm trying to say is xenophobia is not supposed to grow within us. Are you with me, ma'am? And also,
Yes.
I'd like to tell us what we can just a little deep root of what Pan-Africanism is. Pan-Africanism is a general term for various movements in Africa that have as their common goal unity of Africa. The unity of Africa. That is what we can define Pan-Africanism as. We can see a lot of people out there having this Pan-Africanism as their brand name to educate more on the youths, for the society, what unity really means.
Yes.
And we, as the people living, we are not meant to contradict what these things mean. Just like we have our forefathers, we have Kwame Nkrumah, we have Julius, sorry about the way I'm pronouncing, we have Julius Nyerere, we have Nnamdi Azikiwe. These people have practiced Pan-Africanism for us. It is just it is left to us to follow what they have done for us. It is left to us to follow, for us to build more unity among ourselves. Because you can't tell me I want to go to a neighboring country and be scared of meanwhile, we are supposed to be together, brotherhood, togetherness. So I would like to talk on these things that can drive xenophobia among African countries. I would like to talk on those things that can trigger xenophobia within African countries. I would like to talk about the economic anxiety. For the economic anxiety, that is, high rates of employment and poverty in each country leads to foreigners being a scapegoat in their country. You see, in a country when there is insecurity, there is no employment, they complain of different kind of things. It's going to lead to being a scapegoat. Or another example I can say is, for instance, I am in another person's country and then they are insecure of how of their businesses. Probably the foreigners are going to do more better than them, and they would
Yes.
not be rewarded those kind of, their business, like a foreigner coming to meet them in their land and they are doing way better than them. These things can trigger xenophobia. Are you with me, ma'am?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. We also have resource scarcity. Okay, resource scarcity, like houses, education, we have primary health care. When these things are so scarce in a country and then a foreigner comes, there is no how they will not be seen as threats. There is no how. Because when they feel like everything they have is scarce, their resources and all, why should a foreigner benefit from the little that we are receiving? That is why the thought of xenophobia will come into their mindset, which is not supposed to be. The impact of these things, the impact of xenophobia and what it is causing in within African nations, I can give like 3 to 2 examples. I would say human cost, because resulting to the trauma and everything and loss of properties and all, because it's a tragic, it's something that is so tragic. So it can cost human life, it can cost their properties, it can cause them severe illness that they will not even be able to come out of. The displacement of thousands of legitimate African residents. That is, the displacement of thousands of legitimate African residents coming to a country, and then I am not safe. My safety is on a 1%. My families, they are scared of me being in an African country.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about? Another impact or effect that I can give is policy formulation. That is, okay, sorry about that. I was going to say economic loss. Economic losses. For instance, a foreigner. Okay, let me give an instance. If there is a country that is into this act that triggers human, foreigners, investors will find it difficult to invest into their country. That is one
Yes.
thing they are losing. Economic losses. You cannot expect me as an investor or a founder to want to put my everything into a country that embraces xenophobia. Are you with me, ma'am? So
Yes.
these people, these skilled workers, they may avoid countries that are known for violence. Xenophobia there is no other way than calling it violence, and it's traumatic. It is traumatic. Okay. So another one I would like to say is diplomatic fractures. Xenophobia severely damages bilateral and multilateral relationship between African countries, whether we like it or
Correct.
not. This is the actual truth. Diplomatic fractures. It is going to, there will be barriers within African countries. That is when it's going to get to a point whereby a country wants to do something in another country, then you start setting down rules, regulations, this and that, don'ts, do's for our fellow African neighbors. So where is the Ubuntu we are talking about? Where is the togetherness? Where is that human activism that our forefathers has laid down for us? Okay, moving on. Do you have any question for me, ma?
No, just go ahead. We're learning. We're learning, my daughter. Just go ahead.
All right, ma. Moving on. Things I would like to give as what can make us improve, what can make us move forward, what can take us past these things, because they are not meant to be within ourselves. We want to grow together in unity, and we are bringing out thoughts that are traumatic to our fellow brothers. So what I feel like can be moving forward to our youth, to the government, to the society as a whole, I would say, to eradicate xenophobia and revive the spirit of true Pan-Africanism, we need policy formulation, a new policy implementation by the government. That is, they have to set up policies, give us policies that will be followed within African as a whole, because the government must improve border management and also strict by enforcing the laws to prosecute penetrators of hate crime. That is, we need implementation. We need to implement policies that whosoever that will be caught in this act among Africans, probably there should be a severe crime punishment for them, or whatever they think that is best for us, in as much as Pan-Africanism is growing within African. And then we have to take out the spirit of xenophobia. Another one I would like to say is economic empowerment. Within African countries, within a country itself, nations must tackle systematic poverty and unemployment, especially among youth. It is just so, especially among youth. You see, because the youth of nowadays, it is within us we will see the positivity and also the negativity. So when there is more economic empowerment to eradicate poverty, to eradicate unemployment, to improve our standard of living in a country. You know, some youths nowadays, you never can tell. They might have this thoughts of I'm so sorry to use this word, man, of suicide. So sorry to use this word. Meanwhile, what will be the cause of these things? Our economic development in a country matters a lot, because when how do I say, the economic system of a country matters. The components that we use to measure these things, just like the gross domestic profit, the gross national profit, these are the components, the net national profit, these are the components we use to determine an economic, a financial, a social life of a country. So these things have to be really looked into. They really need to dive into these things. And also, the last one I would say is community education. That is, we need to gather youth, society, give them a name, and bring together people that are ready to understand the true meaning of Pan-Africanism and to eradicate what we call xenophobia. And the last one I'd like to give is a continental dialogue. A continental dialogue, that is, organizations like African Union. You see, those organizations are meant for Africans themselves, just like African Union. They need to take firm stance. They need to take firm stance, a strong stance against member states that fail to protect fellow citizens. They need to take formulations, policy formulation, implementations, and go against any country that will be against their own brother. Because we are brothers, I believe. So, ma'am, I would like to round up with just these few words. What I would like to say is Africa cannot truly move forward if Africans continue seeing fellow Africans as a stranger or threat. Dr. Tatah, I have not seen you before, though this is my first time seeing your life. I just used to know your name on the group and all. But the first time I spoke to you, I felt like it felt warm. That is how it is supposed to be. I felt like, oh, I had no idea she was going to reply my text. Because looking at your level of, I hope you understand, ma'am.
So, I hear you, Ola.
Yeah, so that is, I'm being sincere about that. And also other people we have in the group, like not being biased of the kind of country we come from. Now I can say it with my permit me to say this. I can say this anywhere, that I have a friend, Dr. Tatah, from please, where are you from?
Cameroon, your neighbor.
Thank you. From Cameroon.
From the African Cameroon.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. I have a friend, Dr. Tatah, from Cameroon. looking at how you replied my message is warmly, that is what we call Pan-Africanism. We are trying to grow. We are trying to grow. We are trying to come together. We never can tell. Anything can bring us to come together. So why then should I be scared of saying, oh, I want to meet Dr. Tatah physically?
Yeah.
Why should I be scared of saying, oh, I want to come to Cameroon? I hope with these few points of mine, ma'am, I've been able to educate us more, to make us understand that what is not meant to be is not meant to be. Let us grow the spirit of Ubuntu. Let us grow the spirit of togetherness among us. Thank you, ma'am.
Ola, thank you so very much. I mean, like, I hope you're hearing me. Ola,
Yes.
um, I say the same thing that I talk to all of you speakers that have been here and the past and the ones that are watching me, Joy, Laura, Shelley was just here. All of you, our female warriors and heroes. A nation is only built when the mothers, be it in the younger version or the elderly version, the mother, like Mother Africa, is the gatherer of their children to build a community and a nation. So you being here and adding your voice is the most privilege that we have. But I think I want to use this opportunity to share the announcement of Omara. You have to be hosting your own programs. This program on Pan African Daily TV is the program of youths that are actually talking about the Africa they want. I have my own series on Pan African Daily where I interview, all Pan Africans worldwide. They are elders, so I will not interview the youths again because that's you've already taken that on Pan African Daily. I will just continue with the elders and us in the primes. So we are looking. Omara is looking for a host, and the way all of you have been so articulate here. I think you are more than just teachers, but just hosts. So I want to extend this to you and the way you speak, the way you question, the way all of you. And I'm really giving these responsibilities to you to think about it in the group. You're in the group because next Tuesday, the next show that is coming up on the African youths and what they want, I will not be your host. I've helped, I've supported for all this while. I have a long list of my guests that are waiting since 6 months ago. I got to get back to work on my own series. And so I really appreciate you coming, you thanking me, you
Yes, ma'am.
and the response and everything. And your educational session is epic like any other one. You talked about the challenges, you talked about the root cause, you talked about the impact, you gave the solutions to what could be done about it. And then you concluded in the framework of really,
Yes, ma'am.
hitting the nail by saying Pan-Africanism is just unity of Africans. No more, no less. And that was so heartwarming. And I learned a lot. I really just learned a lot of the structure that you've
Yes.
used. I mean, it's actually what it's supposed to be. So thank you so very much, Ola. I cannot wait to see you be a host on your shows while we also relax and listen to what you
Thank you
people
so
are
much.
talking about. Okay. Yes, because once you do your productions, you can even
All right,
do it
ma'am.
without
Thank you so
all this
much.
input,
Bye.
and then you only play it. Thank you too. Thank you so much. Yes, Ola, can you still hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
All right. So we are concluding, and I want to thank all the guests that have been here with us, that are watching us, that have commented, that have shared.
Can
We are rounding
you
up. It's
hear
exactly
me?
2 hours. Yes. Okay, it's just hinging. So we're rounding up, we are closing, and I want to thank all of you that have been watching from all across the world and in the diaspora. I want to thank all of you for showing up your face. Imhotep, you were here, of course, and I really do see you in the beginning. Thank you so very much for joining. Viva Africa, you've been here. You greeted Omara. You've been here. Tukupa Moja, which simply just means, you know, the unity of Africa. We are one. You also were here, and you also added your voice. Oh, now and I see Joy Silai was here as usual. And I want to thank all of you, our supporters, our sponsors, those to be, those are still to come, for us to give a space and a chance to all our voices. And particularly, we are happy to see that our youths have been learning, they're following up. Now they begin to tell their own stories, they begin to tell us the Africa that they want, which is very, very interesting. Michael, brother Michael from Monrovia, thank you also. It's been a while, it's really been a while. Yes, we are back, and this is the youth project, and we're going to go back to our own projects starting on very soon. So I want to thank you so very much, Brother Brett Williams. You were also here. It's also been a while, and touching base again with the main mother base of Pan-Africanism, Pan-African Daily TV. Thank you so very much for joining. And all our viewers that are not commenting, we see a lot of hundreds of thousands of videos in the viewers here without comments in the studio. That's very okay. Thank you so very much for watching. And next Tuesday, it's also going to be another hot series with Africa's youth and the Africa they want to see on Pan-African Daily TV. And for us, I'll be coming up with our own live series and a list of all the guests. And but just to remind you on what we're going to have here, I'm not very sure the flyers are ready. But we have a series of conferences. One of those that I can remember is the one coming up in Chicago next in July, I think 23rd to 26th of July. The Global Pan-African Community are going to be meeting in Chicago, US, for 3 days of intensive work. I'm still trying to look for the for the adjective to describe what that conference is going to be about. It's going to be 3 or 4 solid days of internship workshops, presentations, visitation, and on this topic, the power of unity. The power of unity for Africans on the continent and Africans in the diaspora, Africans worldwide. So please save the date, 23rd to the 26th of July. We're going to be meeting in Chicago. August 6th to the 9th of August, we're going to be meeting in Germany. These are strategic meeting points where Pan-Africans that are celebrating the unity and the cultural values of Africa are meeting. During that time, Professor James Small is also leading a group, a pilgrimage to Ghana, and he's been doing it for more than 4 years. So I would also share that program with us. So that's what we have going on in the Pan-African Daily TV world. And also we've been seeing the PLO Lumumba Foundation and Professor going on talks and invitations. That projects or the next coming availability where he would be, we're also still going to share it with you. So apart from that, like I said, we cannot end this broadcast without actually dancing to the hymn of the African meetings and the world meetings on our calendar in 2026. So enjoy, and we see us again very soon on Pan-African Daily TV Live. Thank you very much. Thank you. So we're going to play our outro, and I cannot see it here for just no reason. Anyways, so let's say we call it a date till next time. Bye.